All right, welcome to today's live, guys. I know you should be waiting for the panel we will be having today. Go ahead if you have not. Please let me know. For those who are on IG, let me know if you're hearing. Just put a comment in the section there for IG. I had an echo just now. If you're hearing me on IG, go ahead and put in the comment that you're hearing. For those who are joining on YouTube and on Facebook, welcome, guys. Welcome for those who are on IG. This evening, we will have our J1 versus H1B panel where we have a few experienced educators who will be sharing their experience with both J1 and H1B visas. All right, so I'm still waiting to see on IG if you're hearing. On IG, if you're hearing, let me know in the comment section if you're hearing what's happening. All right, so welcome, guys. For those who are joining the chat, I see the comment sections getting very festive. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and share. All right, thank you very much for letting me know on IG that you are hearing. So now we can get straight into it. Before we go ahead and send this link to others who may be interested to learn more about the J1 and the H1B visa as it relates particularly to teachers. All right, we have our guest. I'm going to bring the guest on screen. I'm going to do the introduction and we're going to go straight into it. All right, going to give the others just a few minutes more to join and then we'll get the guest in. Guys, go ahead and let us know in the comment section where you're watching from so that we know to shout out to different countries that is being represented today on today's live. Put in the comment section where you're watching from. And as you know already, Trinidad, watching from Fayetteville, North Carolina. And as you know already, as soon as you join, guys, go ahead and like this video. All right, so I'm going to bring the guest on and I'm going to do the introduction and we go straight into our agenda for today. I did start putting the agenda in the comment section. You should see it there, but it's not completed. But once we get past the pros and cons, you will see what's coming next. All right, welcome. I see Denise from Jamaica. Thanks for joining. Melanie from Jamaica. Morrison from Ghana. Edna from the Philippines. Joy from Bahamas. We have Shireen in Savannah and Felicia in Jamaica. Welcome Shan Reed from Jamaica as well, and Alicia Murray Hall from Jamaica. Welcome, guys. Henry from Ghana. We're going to get the guest in and I'll introduce them. Please know that we will have a call-in segment. For the call-in segment, I need people who have experienced both J and H1B visa to come and share your experience as well. So for that call-in segment, I do have a link in the comment section below. When we get to that segment, I will share the link again where you can come on the platform and share your experience with us. So You can decide if you want to show your face once you join. It's just going to be like we are on the platform, or you just want to, share using your voice and turn your cameras off. But you are invited to come and share your J1 or H1B experience as well today on this platform with myself and our other panelists. So let's get straight into it. We're going to add them. All right, guys. So let's get straight into it. Let's welcome everybody this evening for coming to share with us. I know these educators, they have other important things to do. It's now summer break, but they are taking the time to come and share with you guys. So we should be appreciative of that. So let me first tell them thank you for taking some time out of your summer break to come and share with us. Hey, Jory from Cayman Islands. All right, so let's welcome our guests just to give you a sneak peek of who we have today on the platform. All right, so we're going to first introduce Miss Nordian, Mrs. Nordian Ward White. Blessed from birth, resilient, versatile, and determined by nature is Nordian Ward White, a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, a wife and mother. She hails from the Garden Parish of St. Anne. Then she migrated to the neighboring parish, St. Mary. She holds a diploma in primary education with an advancement in reading, a Bachelor of Arts in Counseling and School Psychologist, and a Master of Science in Special Education, as well as a Master of Science in Leadership and Management. She enjoys missionary work in her church, working in youth ministries, researching, studying, and empowering others. Nordian, who is a true altruist, has an undying love for kids and appreciation for aesthetic beauty and nature. Her true mantra is, with God, all things are possible. For every problem, there is a solution. That is Mrs. Nordian Ward White. Wave. All right. Next on the panel today, we have Mrs. Ricketts Grant. And now, Mrs. Ricketts Grant, she's married with 4 wonderful children. Her guiding philosophy is, as long as there's life, there's hope. She's a teacher by profession, and she holds a master's degree in elementary education from Walden University and a bachelor's degree from the International University of the Caribbean. Um, she has a diploma from the Michael Teachers College. She enjoys working with young children, as children are the key to our future. In her spare time, she enjoys dancing, singing, visiting the beach, and spending time with family and friends. Those who know Diane, you visited her vlog before, you definitely know she's always dancing and jigging and shaking somewhere. Hey, Diane. All right. So next we have Miss Nordia Grant Walker. Mrs. Nordia Grant Walker. She has a decade of experience in education. She has a rich educational background that spans in various educational settings, beginning as a teacher in North Carolina on a J1 visa. She now holds an H1B visa, continuing to contribute significantly to education. Grant Walker completed a diploma in primary education at St. Joseph Teachers College and earned a bachelor's degree from the UB Mona campus, majoring in literacy studies. Building on this foundation, she pursued a Master of Science in Special Education and is currently completing an educational doctorate in leadership in higher education. With such extensive academic and professional achievements, Grant Walker brings a wealth of knowledge and insights to our discussion today. Hey, Mrs. Grant Walker. And last but not least, we have Dr. Nordia Thomas. Give me 1 minute. So Dr. Thomas hails from the capital of Jamaica. She migrated to the US in 2017 on a J1 visa. After teaching in North Carolina for 5 years, she transitioned to the H1B visa in 2022. Dr. Thomas is a mother of two, and she's happily married to Leo Thomas. Welcome, 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 Dr. Thomas.
Hey,
Now,
Doc.
thanks for joining, ladies. I really appreciate you coming to share with us your experience today. And I'm sure for those who are watching, you will enjoy today's panel. Our topic, J1 versus H1B visa. What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the experiences of our teachers who have, experienced the best of both worlds? I know in a poll that I had on my YouTube channel, and I threw it out, I say, which is better, H1 or J1 visa? On my YouTube channel, 79% of viewers who, answered to the poll said H1B, and 21% said J1 visa. Similarly, on IG, that same poll, 78% of the people who voted said H1B, and 22% said J1 visa. But what are we going to be bringing to the table this evening about J1 and H1B visa? Go ahead and get your pencils and your notebooks so you can take notes, guys. We're going to first talk about what is the J1 visa and then what's the H1B visa. All right. So, Mrs. Worldwide, would you like to give us a quick synopsis of what the J1 visa is?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me, Dr. Britton. Okay, so for the J1 visa, it's a it's a teacher exchange, cultural exchange visa where teachers are given the opportunity to come via sponsorship, J1 sponsorship, to teach here in the US for 3 years initially, after which they have the option, or they are provided the option, the opportunity to extend for an additional 2 years. After that 2 years, this teacher will have to go home back to Jamaica or their own country to satisfy a 2 years resident 2 years before they
Resident
can
rule.
resident rule. They have to satisfy that resident rule before they can actually continue to work in the US. So they can go again and apply after that 2 years. And I guess we'll touch on waiver some other time in the program. Yes.
All right. So thank you very much for that, Norden. As she said, it's a cultural exchange visa. You are, allowed to come to work for a specific number of years. And just to make this known, the J1 visa is not only issued to teachers, other category of workers as well as students can use the J1 visa. But since this platform is mainly about teaching, we are focusing on the teaching aspect of the visas. So Mrs. Grant Walker, could you tell us what is the H1B visa?
All right, so the H1B visa is different from the J1. It's not necessarily a cultural exchange visa. It is usually done through direct hiring. And this is where a school district is recruiting and you are employed as a specialty worker. So you are usually required to have a bachelor's or higher. And they usually ask for at least 2 years experience. And then when you are hired, it is a dual intent visa. So it means that the school could either put in for your permanency, your green card, after either the first year or the third year, and it depending on the school district. But you must have a bachelor's or higher. And you're not expected to do any cultural program or anything like that.
Awesome. Good. So, Mrs. Ricketts Grant or Dr. Thomas, do you have anything you want to add to the the meaning of the J or the H1B visa. Anything that you'd like to share?
They said it all.
Yes,
All
they
right. Yeah.
did.
So
Yes, they did. As you said, they're not like the H1 is not only for teachers, but since that's our audience, we just stick to that. The H1B is really for foreign workers, and you can say a maximum of 6 years.
yes, yes,
Mhm.
right. So while the J1 is a maximum of 5, yes, the age can go up to 6 years, and in some instances more, but that's a different story for a different day. All right. So
Oh,
let's
yes. I
talk.
have something to say. And for the H1B, they can grant it for 1 year and then they renew it. And also, they can grant it for a 3 year period and then it is renewed.
Yes, and that's
Yes.
usually done if you usually get it for 1 year if you don't have the teaching license of the state that you're going.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for that, guys. So we're gonna go into the pros and the cons. Now, for those who are watching, as I did mention earlier, if you have experienced the J and the H1B visa and you'd like to share your experience, we will have a call-in segment where you can join us on the platform and share your experience as well. So don't be shy. Get ready with your experience that you'd like to share, as well as we're going to have a question and answer section where we will allow you to ask questions and any one of us will answer from the panel. So we're going to talk next about the pros and the cons of the J1 visa. Starting with Dr. Thomas, I know you started on the J1 visa. You said, what are some of the pros with the J1 visa as an educator?
All right. And thanks again, as Miss Ricketts Grant said, thank you for the opportunity to be at this program again. Right. So the pros and cons, you said, right? Both.
I just need the pros for the J1 right now.
Okay. All right. So let's start. I would say the first thing I would say it depends on the individual's vision. Why do you want to come on the J1? So you have to think about your why, and then I'll tell you about the pros. The first thing I would say, it depends on your family dynamics. Are you single? Are you married? You know, because if you're single, fine. But if you're married, and if you're married, also the J1 good, your spouse will be able to work, and your dependents who have not aged out, like age out going to 21, they can get an EAD, and they can work. So those are two good ones, right? Another pro to being on the J1 is that this part I love, that you get tax exemption once your
Mhm.
country signs that tax treaty with the US. And praise God, Jamaica did that for 2 years. As you put it up your hand, Grant Walker. Let me tell you something about Grant Walker. Grant Walker did practice with me. Hey,
Yay.
Grant Walker. This is just by the side. Mr. Monroe want your number. So after we talk, I need it. Mr. Monroe say, I'm to get it. So they get me the number.
Okay. Okay.
So Grant Walker did our teaching practice with me. Excellent teacher. Big up yourself, Grant Walker. Grant Walker. All right. So that tax exemption is beautiful because for the first 2.5 years, really 3 years, but it depends on who you file your taxes with. But when I did the research, it's really 3 years. And you get back all your money. And you know, we come here for money, right? So money, 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 money.
Money up.
Yeah, I love that with the J1. You know, money good, you can get to pay off some of the loans out of Jamaica and all that good
Yeah.
stuff. Sort out yourself, put down some money for your kids' education, right?
Mhm.
So that's good. Another good thing about it is that it lasts for up to 5 years if you want to renew. As I said, depends on your why, because I know teachers who they just did the three, that's what they wanted, just three, and they went back home. And that's fine. But you can go up to 5. Another good thing is that the sponsors, whoever they are, the different sponsors, they are responsible for your teaching license. So when it comes to licensure, you don't have to worry, right? So those are the main ones. Yes.
Right?
Dr. Beaton, I'd like to add something to what Dr. Thomas said.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the major things that I thought was helpful when I was on the J1, it was that the transition was smoother for me. So my sponsor, it's almost like, and I'm not sure if it's by law, but they had a duty of care to me. I had an excellent sponsor that I went with. I was not
Right.
left on my own to do anything. They helped me get a car. They helped me get an apartment before I got to the US. They helped me set up a bank account. They helped with everything. So I did not have to navigate any of the nuances that comes with migrating to a new country and not understanding what comes with it. So I
Right.
had help along the way, the entire way.
That is true. That is true, and I can agree with that. What about Mrs. Ward White and Mrs. Grant? Do you have anything to add to the pros that Dr. Thomas shared, or any other pros that you may have or know about for the J1 visa?
Well, the only thing I would add to that is that the J1 sponsor is responsible for your health insurance. It may be minimal, but it's
Yes,
worth having. Yes.
yes. And that s- not for the entire family, but for the J1 holder, right? And then you have to
Mhm.
pay for your dependents.
Right,
That's
that's
correct.
correct. Yes.
Okay, good. So what are some of
Yes.
the cons? Can you
For the
go ahead?
for the
Go ahead.
J1, oh, you can study on the J1 visa. So
Mhm.
your dependent can study. They can go to college. They can do their master's, doctorate, and the teachers can also study on a J1 visa. So that is a big plus.
Oh, another thing to Dr.
Awesome.
Bitten, you're not expected to pay pension, so you do take home more of your salary on the J1.
Yes,
Yeah, so separate and
yes,
apart from
yes,
the tax
yes.
exemption, there's no pension that you have to pay. And trust
Is
me,
that
pension
good
is a good
though?
amount of your money.
Is that good or bad though?
No, it depends. It depends on your why. So if you do not intend to stay in the US, why would you want to be paying
Yes,
pension? You want all your money to take
right,
home.
right.
But the J1 don't pay pensions, but J2s pay pensions.
Yes,
Okay.
So we
yes,
still want that pension money. In any way you take it, somebody will have to pay pensions. J2, if they're working, your husband or your wife or yeah, they pay pensions.
Mhm. But then that depends on your family dynamics. Because when I was there, I didn't have dependents that needed to work, so that didn't really affect me.
yeah. All right. So let's talk about the cons. What are the cons with the J1? And then we go straight into the H1. We can compare both when we talk about the cons of the J1 with the H1B. Diane, will you talk about some of the cons of the J1 visa?
Well, the first con is that your health insurance is very high. When you because you pay your sponsor, it goes to the sponsor and then from the sponsor to the health insurance company. And I'm telling you, it's very high. So that is a
But
big con
Diane,
for me. Well,
let
and
me
it
chime in on
depends on
that.
which program. It
Yes,
depends
I was just about
also
to say that.
on which program you come on. And it
Mm-hmm.
also depends because sometimes you may pay a small amount. And when you go to the doctor, you cannot buy medication. Because I
Okay.
know of persons who came on certain programs and they had to do a surgery. And the insurance that they came on the J1 would not cover their surgery. So it
Um.
also depends.
All right,
So
and
that
I'm
is a
glad you
big
said
con
that.
for me.
I'm glad you said it depends on the sponsor that you come with. Because to be
Yeah.
honest, I remember when I went on the J1, I had my insurance covered pregnancy. And I was like, are they crazy? Why would somebody come on a J1 and get pregnant? Well, I got pregnant. And to be honest, my insurance was excellent. My bill came up to 20 something thousand and I did not have to pay anything out of pocket. So it depends on the
Wow.
program that you go with.
You're gonna
Wow.
have to share that program.
I am not afraid to
Exactly.
global teaching partners. Let me tell you something, and I'm not um here to promote any program, but I can only
Right.
share my experience. It is
Yes.
Nathan Thomasini. They don't, and global, the rest of the persons with global, they don't see it as a program. I was one of the first set of teachers to go with them, and I had an excellent experience, honestly.
Yes, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know of any program that has pregnancy as part of their health insurance. And I'm sure the others on here, I don't know if anybody who's watching also have that
Mm-hmm.
experience with pregnancy being a part of, but I know that insurance I got was minimum,
Wow.
meaning I was still paying a lot of money when I went to the doctor. So it was like, just,
Mm.
you know what, let me just pay the money out of my pocket because what I'm paying with this insurance doesn't even make any sense.
Wow.
Hold on, we have
Yeah.
another testimony. Miss Edwards in the chat said she did 2 surgeries and she paid minimal and both bills were $19,000. Good. So it depends on the program that you come on.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Mm-hmm.
con for the J1 is that most of the time, well, based on experience and from persons, if you like it didn't work out with that job,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for you to get placed in another school for some people. They get, kicked back home or you didn't find it so difficult. So I think that is really another, because the sponsors, they don't want to take up this burden of trying to find another school for you to go. So I think that is a con.
I think it
Okay.
depends
Okay.
also again on the program that you go with, because I've had teachers when I went up that needed to change school. But I think as long as your reason for changing school is legitimate, so let's say you're
Mm-hmm.
facing racism, I know that global would not allow you to stay in that school. They would move you, to be honest. So I think it depends on the program and your reason for wanting to change. So you can't want to change a school to say because the students don't have any behavior, you don't have any class control. That's on you
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher.
Right. Okay. So you were finished, Mrs. Grant? Good. All right. So does anyone have anything to add to the cons for the J1, Dr. Thomas or Mrs. Ward White? What are
Right,
some of the cons?
Yes.
right.
For the cons, or yes.
Yeah.
So the biggest con for me is the waiver, or the 2 years, 2 years that you have to
Your
set
residency
aside
rule.
before you can actually transition to another program or continue on the J1. So you have to get the waiver where you can transition to the H1B program, and that is a very tedious process. Some people may have a smooth sailing when they apply, but for most teachers, they have a long wait before they actually get a response from Jamaica to continue with that waiver process. And with that, some teachers had to go home and wait until the waiver is granted before they can actually transition. And that in itself, it disrupts the process of transition, because now you have to think about airline ticket to go down with your family. You may have to put up your stuff in a storage here and you have to pay for that, or you may have to continue paying your rental fees and your car notes and everything else here while you have to be living back home in Jamaica. So it's double expenses when the waiver doesn't come through in time. So I think that's a very
Yeah.
big con for the J1.
One con for
I
me.
agree. I agree.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying I agree, but it
Mm-hmm.
also depends on which country you're coming from because some countries they don't require you to have a waiver. If
Yeah.
you come from the Bahamas or South Africa, you're not required to have a waiver. So it also depends on the country you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'd like
What?
to add to that
Mm-hmm.
that in some countries their process is swifter. Because I
Mm-hmm.
know someone from Guyana, and in 2 weeks they got their waiver.
Wow.
They got their no objection letter rather quickly. And
But
Jamaica,
Mm.
in Jamaica, if you don't know somebody, it will take some people take even more than a year. And
that's
there's
Mm-hmm.
true.
another con that I would like to add before you jump in, Grant Walker. Another con is that when your dependent goes to university on a J1, they have to pay out of state tuition. And trust me, that is a lot. The difference can be up to like 20 something $1,000 difference. Out of state versus in state. When you
Mm.
have to be on an H1 to get in state, and you have to be on the H1 for at least a year. A J1 out of state, you have to pay,
Wow.
and that's a lot.
Mm. A con for me is that a lot of sponsors, they make it seem as if applying for a waiver is something illegal. And they will actually try to covertly bully you to not apply for your waiver. Also, a lot of
Yes.
persons, Jamaicans, don't understand that if you owe student loan or you owe any money to the government, applying for a waiver is a no-no. You must clear your bills back in your home country before a waiver will be granted.
As Mrs. Walker just said, bullying. Some sponsors, they'll try to bully you into not getting pregnant on J1, into not marrying on J1. So they try to keep you the way you came. So
Okay.
you weren't married, you didn't have a child, and whatever else you didn't come with, don't think about it.
No
wow.
falling in love.
Yes, so
Oh.
some sponsors will try to do that.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you definitely need to do some research on the
Yep.
sponsor that you're going to choose to go
Mm-hmm.
on.
That's
And
And
pretty
Dr.
one way
Vicky,
common.
I'm
of do-
glad you said that.
yes, and one way of doing that is to find out from people who have been on the programs
Testimonials.
before and get information from them as to what the treatment is like. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things that they expect of you and what they don't expect of you.
Yes.
So you
Yep.
definitely need to do your research before you choose the program that you need to go on.
Mm-hmm. I had one young lady that her program actually just brought her into town, let her off, and then she had nowhere to stay. She did not know what to do. And it was my principal who reached out to me asking me if I can assist her. So we have to also be careful. I know everybody wants a piece of the US pie. And
Mm-hmm.
out of desperation, you will just jump on the first program that you see. But be careful. Look, listen. Some programs will make your whole American experience a nightmare.
Yes, that is so true.
Yes, guys,
So true.
do your homework, do your
Yep.
research.
Right. Yes, definitely.
Biggerparticipate.com.
Yeah. And
Just
I'm
for
glad I have
listening.
people on the live who have experienced J and H1 visa. I'm going to say this again. We will have a segment for you to come on and share your personal experience with us. So get ready to start sharing when we get to that section. We're going to talk about now the pros and the cons
Before
of
you go, Dr.
H1B
Britton.
visa.
Dr. Britton,
H1B visa. Uh-huh.
before you go, I saw a question in the chat, and I'm not sure if it's about waiver. Will we be talking about waiver?
Yes, I did ask them on IG. I did not see to hold your questions for the Q&A. So if you have a question,
Okay.
can you hold your questions for the Q&A section? All right. So let's talk about the H1B visa. What are the pros and the cons of the H1B visa? Anybody want to start? Should I take it away?
All right. So
Rodney,
I
you
think
start it.
for the H1B visa, I don't remember who said it depends on your why. As it's a dual intent. Do you intend to stay? For the H1B visa, like my husband is an engineer. He is not gonna come to the US and sit down and look at me and be a housewife. So if you have your spouse and you intend to be the sole breadwinner, then it's gonna be a pro for you. But if you have your spouse and he does not want to be a housewife, then the H1B would not necessarily be the best thing for you. On the H1B visa, your school district does not owe you anything. So you are treated like a regular worker. So the transitioning is everything is on you. You have to find your car, you have to do your social, you have to turn on your lights, you find somewhere to live. You're on your own for everything. You are treated like an American when it comes to taxes. And boy, taxes high. You have to pay pension. So to be honest, I worked more money on a J1, even though my salary now on a H1B is triple my J1. Honestly think I took home more money on a J1. My cost of living was cheaper in North Carolina. My rent was cheaper. I wasn't paying pension. I wasn't paying certain taxes for at least 2 years. So I'm H1B, you have to make sure that you're mentally prepared and you know what you're getting yourself into, to be honest. The only, one of the major great things is that it's a dual intent. But you have to just do your research, know what is it that you want out of the program.
All right, so the biggest pro that everybody, and I know from the polls, everybody's saying H1B is the best thing ever. And I know for a fact that the main reason why everybody is saying that it's because it's a dual intent visa, to add to what Mrs. Grant Walker is saying. But what everybody doesn't realize is that coming on an H1B visa does not guarantee you a green card. So let's put that out there. You can come here on an H1B visa and stay on that H1B visa for the entire 6 years with no offer for green card. So
ma'am.
Please note, you don't automatically get a green card by coming to the US on an H1B visa. Yes, it's dual intent, but not all districts want to sponsor a green card. So yes, the positive thing is it is dual intent, and if your school district want to sponsor a green card, you can get the green card transitioning from it. But, and I always say this can also be done on a J1 visa. If you're on a J1 visa and your employer wants to sponsor you a green card, they can start the process while you're on J1 visa. So that one reason why everybody's saying the H1 is the best, that can also work for J1 visa. Okay? Any of my ladies want to add to that?
Yes, Dr. Britton. One of the cons for the H1B is the praxis. A lot of states require praxis after the initial license. And if you can't pass the praxis, you got to go. Unless you can find a different job.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I know a lot of teachers right now in the predicament. They came on the H1B visa, and the H1B visa was granted for 1 year with the condition that they pass the praxis. And right now they are told that they have to go.
Yes,
now I'm just going to say that the H1B visa, I'm just going to put it out there. If you're coming as a single person, yes. But if you're coming, if you have husband and kids, the H1B is a poverty visa, I'm telling you. Because your husband cannot work. If you have children, 8 children who should work, they cannot work. I'm telling you the truth.
You're going to have to be the man in the relationship.
Poverty visa. This H1B visa, it mash up a lot of relationships. Because guess what? The husbands, the Jamaican men, decide that they're not coming to America because they cannot work. And you up here as the wife, and your husband there yard, me not let my husband at Jamaica. So any visa we are come from, it can bring all of it. I'm not gonna leave my husband down there. So you have to decide. It's up to you what you like, what you want. So if you want, it just depends on what you want. But I'm just gonna put it out there. The H1B visa, a poverty visa.
And to be honest, our men are not cultured like that.
Playing.
Real Jamaican men are not cultured to stay at home and not work. So that's going to be asking a lot of them.
Okay, so another con on the H1B visa. If your children and your spouse do not have the Social Security, they will not be able to be added to your health insurance. And that's a big problem. And even to your taxes, where if you have children under the age of 17 who could probably add another $2,000 more to your tax return, that you won't get that because they don't have a social. So they can't be added to your tax return. However, you have the ITIN that you can apply for, which will not give you the same benefit. It will give you just a minimal benefit. So the social, yes, go ahead.
You're certain of that? Because I just filed my taxes. My kids, one has a social because she's a U.S. citizen, but the other one, I had to apply for the ITIN through H&R Block, and I did get what do you call it? Whatever. Yeah.
As I just said, you will get minimal with the ITIN
Only
number.
500.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
only
Oh, there
500.
was more, or I didn't know that there was more to it.
It's
Lots
you
more.
if you have if
Oh.
like your daughter or your child with the social security, that child would have given you $2,000. But
Oh, I
with the
didn't know that.
ITIN, you would have gotten $500 on your tax return. So without a social security, and if you're coming in on the H1B, you will not be able to apply for the social security. You will be able to do the ITIN but not the social security. So
Mm.
advice for those who are on J1, go ahead, apply for your social security for all the members of your family if you have the intention of going or transitioning into the H1B visa.
Dr. Britton, I have a quick question for you though.
Let me
Do you
add one
notice?
thing.
Mhm.
Let me add one thing. Somebody on IG, I know you guys cannot see the IG comment. Somebody on IG said she did not pass her praxis. Apparently, she was on H1, I'm assuming. She did not pass the praxis as, recommended or as they had told her, and she did not get paid for 2 months.
Wow.
So this is one of
Wow.
the things that Miss Grant is talking about. All of us want to come on the H1, and yes, we are encouraging you to come, whichever visa you feel comfortable with. But just to let you know, this panel is to let you know the pros and the cons. If you are given a job offer with the intention that you should pass that praxis within the first year, if you don't pass the praxis, the the repercussion might not be something that you are going to feel comfortable with. Like they're asking her now on IG, what did you do with salary for no salary for 2 months? And some schools ask you to go home if you cannot pass the praxis because they're not going to give you a new contract.
Wow.
Okay? So I'm not off, I'm just back and forth seeing what the comments are on IG. Go ahead, Miss Grant Walker.
I heard Mrs. Wardwhite say something about not being able to add your children to your health if they don't have a social. Is that something new? Because
You
I
can
was able
add
to add
them
my
with the
kids.
ITIN. You can
No,
add
but well, maybe that's district specific then, because I was able to
no.
add my kids. I was able to add my eldest without a social to my health.
It's not district specific, but it's state specific.
Okay.
Grant Walker, you did say you have an ITIN, right? So that's
No,
what.
so she got, hold on, she got the ITIN in February when we are doing the taxes. But from the onset, I was able to add everybody to my health card.
We're
Oh,
here to learn.
that was J1, right?
No, H1B.
Okay.
And then I have other colleagues who are in Washington D.C. Her kids don't have a social, and she was able to add them also to her health.
So as I said, state specific because in Georgia you could not do that.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Mm.
All right. So, those are some of the pros and the cons. Yes, the biggest pro for the H1B as dual intent. But then the cons, you would be, and a lot of people, let me say this, a lot of people would say that is not true because I know of people on H1B and their spouse is working or their spouse is eligible for a work visa.
Illegal.
Yes, they are eligible for a work visa, but when? When?
Illegal.
When are they
Illegal.
eligible for that work visa? Before they can be eligible for a work visa, you would have to be offered sponsorship for green card. You would have to first get approved for your I-140, and then they move on to approve the work visa, the work permit
EAD.
for your spouse. So people getting it confused. They're saying, but I know somebody and her husband is working and he has a work permit and he's on
Illegal.
H4. What's the process? He got a work permit, but he did not get it initially when she came or he came on an H1B visa. So those are things we have to understand. They can get a work permit, but it has to be after the H1
Mm-hmm.
holder is offered a sponsorship for green card, start the first processing stage, which includes the perm. And Northern, Mrs. Ward White, you are the expert in this. Please tell them the processing phase for the green card and let
For
them know
the,
at what point the spouse can get a work permit.
And the
okay, so
timeline, how long it will take? Will it take
And
6 months,
how long?
the
Yes,
2 months,
timeline
1 year,
varies.
2 year, 3 years? We need to
yes,
know.
Timeline
yes.
varies. The first, the process can be broken down into 3 phases as well as 5 phases, depending on how you look at it. The first phase, though, is the perm phase. And that perm phase, you have what you call the permanent wage determination and then the perm. And the permanent wage determination, it's taking like anywhere from 8 to 12 months. And then after which the perm application will be placed in, which now, well, the last I heard, it was 13 months for the last batch that went through. I'm not sure if that is going up or down, but since the last 3 years, it has been going up because the first batch of teachers that I know went on it in 2021. It was between 6 and 9 months, and then between 9 and 12 months, and now it's 13 and going up. So it depends. After the perm is granted, the lawyer will now apply for, they can do concurrent filing or they can do separate filing. They file for the I-140, which Dr. Britton spoke about. That's the petition that the employer is putting in to say that they're filing for you. So that is submitted to USCIS. That can be submitted along with the work permit, what we call the AP or advanced parole or travel document, and also your green card application. All of those can go in at the same time. Or if it is that your date is not current, that's another thing to talk about. You cannot put your, the lawyer cannot apply for your green card, so they can go ahead and apply for the work permit and the travel document along with the I-140. The I-140 regular processing time up to 6 months, can be longer or shorter. It depends on who gets your file. However, the USCIS offers expedited processing, which you pay a fee. I'm not sure what the fee is now because it was increased in April.
$2,805.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So that amount, and your I-140 should be processed in 15 calendar days. If it's not processed in 15 calendar days, you are supposed to be refunded that amount that Dr. Britton just said, but they should still go ahead and process as quickly as possible, expedited just the same. After your I-140 is approved, that's the time they'll now look at your application for work permit or travel document or green card if you're current for a green card. That time process, the EAD, I know persons who have gotten their EAD in 2 months. Well, I got one in 2 months. I know people who have gotten in 3 months. I know people who have gotten in 6 months, 12 months. So it depends on who gets your case. And the advanced parole or travel documents, that document takes a longer time. I'm not sure, they said 6 months, but sometimes it's over a year before you get that document. And if you start working on the EAD card, you will need a travel document if you need to leave the country because your green card has not yet been approved. And once you start working on the EAD using the work permit, you are now canceling your H1B visa. So you need a travel document to go along with your EAD. So if you add up all those months that I just told you, that's how long the green card. So the green card process, let's say you're current and the lawyer puts in your application. That depends again who gets your file. You have people who have gotten their green card in 2 months. Some have gotten in 3 months, some 6 months, some 9 months, some a year, some 2 years, some 3 years, some 4 years. So
some still waiting.
And some are still waiting. So it depends on who gets your documents. So the process can take anywhere from 1 year and 6 months to over 4 years. So yes, and if the date is not current, that is a problem because you have to wait until USCIS says, okay, I have available green card for X amount of people, so I now can bring the date current, and that's the time your lawyer can apply. Or if the filing date is current, your lawyer can apply, and they may look at your application at that time.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we are going to move on to licensure. I know a lot of people are interested in teaching in the U.S., and I know having a teaching license in the U.S. is one of the biggest thing because you need a license to teach. Comparing both J and H1B visa, which one would you say is better when it comes to licensure?
J1 for sure.
All right.
Because your sponsor isn't takes charge of it fully. When it comes to H1B, you have to watch yourself before you wreck yourself. You know? Yes.
Right. Right. So definitely straight to the point. If you know you are not good at test taking, then definitely J1 is going to give you that first initial international license that you can come and you can have that for up to 5 years and take your time to do the teaching licensure exams to transition from the J to the H visa. All right. What about transitioning from your home country to the US on a J or a H visa? From what I'm
J.
hearing, you guys
J.
are saying it's easier to transition from a J than an H here in the
J.
US.
J.
Definitely J when you
I think it's
transition.
cheaper. Most districts prefer to take you when you're on the J1 because you're already in the US and it is cheaper for them to transfer you to the H1B versus taking you straight from your home country to come here.
Awesome.
And the,
Because
and
it does
Awesome.
the,
cost a
the
pretty
J1
penny.
visa, okay, sorry. The
Go ahead,
J1
sweetie.
visa is a more family oriented visa. You can bring your husband and your wife and your kids. Let the family stay together.
Amen.
All right.
Amen to
So
that
let's talk about
one.
the expenses.
Can I
The
speak,
expenses for
can I
both.
speak on certification just for a bit?
Yes, go ahead.
I know that each state they have their own requirements for certification. In Georgia, well, you need to have at least 2 to 5 years experience in the field that you are certified at your college or university. I know in Jamaica or probably some other countries, I may go to school for science, but I end up teaching math for my entire career. If you're coming here and you have science on your certification, that's what you'll be certified in, not math, which you have your experience in. And that may be a problem because some places may say they want you to have certain amount of years experience in the field. And if you don't have that experience in science, then you may not be able to get your certification or your license to teach here. So that is something to look at as well.
And also,
Okay.
not all states require you to do the praxis. So that's another thing that you have to do your research in. And I think some states will waive the praxis depending on your qualification. So if you have a certain amount of GPA, you might be required to only do praxis 2 and 3, or you might not have to do any of the praxis at all. Because I didn't have to do the praxis. However, I have friends who have the same qualification like myself, and they're in a different state, and they have to do the praxis.
Mhm.
Wow.
In
Wow.
Georgia, they do the gaze exam, which is similar to praxis. I get to understand.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that, though, you're here teaching, and you feel like you want to teach a different subject. You don't have to go back to school to
Yeah.
be certified in that area. Once you do the gaze exam in that subject area, and you have passed, then they can add that subject area to your certification. So now you're certified to teach in the area. So that is one good thing about the licensing in Georgia.
Mrs.
I
Worldwide, does
think other
everybody
states
have to do the
as
exam?
well. I think
Um,
you have to do.
no. Once you
Okay.
have 5 years in the field, you don't have to do the GAZE exam, and you provide all the documents that they ask for. Because if you don't have all the documents, then you may have to do the exam. And remember what I said about you working in another field that you're certified in, that even though you have 5 years teaching experience or 20 years teaching experience, you may have to do the exam because you did not do 5 years in the field that you were qualified to teach.
Okay.
Dr. Britton, can I
Um,
little on licensure for North Carolina?
Go ahead, Dr. Thomas.
Right, I'd like to add a little about licensure here in North Carolina.
Okay.
Right? Right. When you get your initial license, the NCDPI, they send you a letter and they give you like 3 options. So you don't have to do proxies. But that's the option that I chose because I don't have time for the whole test business. So they give you 2 options, and I'm looking on the letter. Option 1, you can do testing, reading, and maths. Option 2, you do coursework in reading and math. So that's what I'm doing, the coursework. In like 2 months, you look at coursework and you're done. That's what I'm doing because I can't do the test problem. And option 3, you do a combination of testing and coursework in reading and math. That's for my area, for the time that I'm still in the classroom until God transitioned me out, right? So every state is different. So for North Carolina, some people I didn't know. I got the letter, I didn't even focus. My son said, "Oh, you're a teacher, you don't like to read." That's how we have to read, right? And it's thanks to one of my colleagues, Edward. She's online right now. She said, "Go back and check that letter." I said, "We go check." I said, "Watch, no, no." So I don't do any praxis. They give you 3 options. That's in North Carolina, NCDPI. So just check the letter and they will tell you the different options and you take what suit you. But as someone said earlier, I think it was Ricketts Grant. Whenever last year they sent some teachers off, they kicked their H1 and they kicked them off because they did not pass their praxis or do the coursework. So you have time, you know. Soon as you get off the J1, you don't have to wait till they get off. Start doing it if you want the practice, or navigate the area. Which state do you think you want to be? If you're going to Savannah, research it, do some research. As the Bible said, people perish because of lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Perish.
yeah.
So
Like
for those 3 options, is the certification the same or is it on different levels?
You're muted, Dr. Thomas.
Right, sorry about that. It's the very same. You just offer different options, which I think is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Differentiate. They talk about differentiate instruction. They differentiate
assessments.
Yes. So I got the letter, but I didn't read it. It's a teacher. She's online. Edward, big up yourself.
big up yourself.
Go back and read. And I saw it. And I said, "Thank you, lad. Thank you."
Okay. For the licensing, because I moved from North Carolina to a different state, and what you call that word, Dr. Britton?
Reciprocate. Reciprocate.
Yes, I reciprocated my license, meaning that when I moved to this state that I'm in now, I didn't have to do any practice or anything like that. I just showed them you have to have 5 years teaching experience from your own country. So I have to show them that I had 5 years teaching in Jamaica. And with that 5 years teaching in Jamaica, showing them that I'm legally present in the US, giving them my ID and all that stuff, paid $20, and I was given a professional teaching license that values 5 years. I didn't have to take any exams. I didn't have to do anything like that. So I just did that.
And you showed your international teaching license that you had in North Carolina.
Right. So I showed, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it based on that international teaching license because based on what they told me, that license didn't have any great value. I got it and I didn't get it. We I didn't get it based on my years, my 5 years teaching in North Carolina. They say that was
Wow.
of no value. I
Mm-hmm.
got it as a result of the 5 years that I did teaching in Jamaica. Because I know
Wow.
persons who they had 2 years in Jamaica and they were denied the license. So this is
Right.
Georgia. So I
Georgia. Okay.
reciprocated from North Carolina to Georgia. I didn't have to do any GATE exam or anything like that.
Right.
But just to
Awesome.
add to that, though, not every state has reciprocity, though. So you have to do your research also.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hmm.
All right, so let's move away from license, guys, and let's talk about some of the expenses with both visas transitioning from your home country. Which one is cheaper to transition, or which one is, what are the expenses? What are the expenses that you would face if you're coming on a J or a H visa?
Lord Jesus. Mm.
All right, Dr. Thomas, you want to start?
All right, you need money, money, money. So, for the J, you're, well, either one. But the J, as someone said earlier, it's like a training ground for the H. So when
Hmm.
you come
Yes.
with the J, the transition is smoother. You'd have had a car already. Your kids would have had certain little, the social security once you put your priority. Because I know teachers who did 5 years on J1 at the end, your child or children still don't have social. That's on them. So you would need to take that out again, the social, because during the J time, you'd have made sure that you put your house in order and you get them their, social. But when you just
Yeah,
come on
but
a
what
J,
expenses? Are there any expenses that they'll have to have upfront to transition from Jamaica to the US on a J?
oh, definitely.
You
You're
have
going
to
to have
show
to
money in your
talk
account.
about number one, you have to have money in your account because the sponsors that I came on, you have to, if you're single, you show a certain amount. I
Hmm.
think at the time it was I had to show like 3,000 US. Right, the program that I came on. When you're single, you show maybe I think it's two.
Mhm.
You have to think about rent. You have to think about deposit and deposit for everything: light, water, internet, cable.
Car
If you have cable,
insurance.
car insurance. You can imagine money, turn up everything. Money, 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 money. So you have to plan. Yeah, you have to plan, and keep it simple. As I said, depends on the person. Because I just humble my little self, and I went to thrift shop and get some little stuff. Some things you
Travel with your
want.
towel and your sheets.
Yeah, thank you,
Don't
Grant
leave them
Walker.
at home.
Yeah, I took my iron. Some people might say, "Me not take me to Walmart." You have your Walmart money, turn up. You go to say your Target money. I took an iron. Everybody I tell my husband, I say, everybody bring two towels. I will
Yes,
bring towels.
yes.
Look at them, I will bring our knife and fork.
Yes, ma'am. Because it adds up. It adds up.
Yes, every little cent adds up. So I came
Mhm.
prepared. Everybody carried two suitcases, carried their little clothes. The children had to change quickly because shortly after they came, then the winter came in. But at least
Mhm.
initially, when they come in August, it's still warm, go down to September, October. So you have to clothes have it you have to come. What I did, I took almost all of my working clothes because me a girl were like fashion from Jamaica. We not broke down, I mean a mash down. So when I come into a big shopping and I came here, I took my clothes from Jamaica. You
Mhm.
understand? Me just space somewhat little add a little one and a two. But thinking about expense, everything. House, some place want 2 months rent deposit, some places. And when we came in 2017, I did my research thanks to a friend. I just put it over on him. He was so helpful. And he found an apartment that gave teachers deposit. So check out that. I don't know if they still do that. Yeah, I think they still do it because where I'm living right now, they offer teachers deposit, like discount rather. 10% if you're a teacher, another 25. So it cut down, cut down, cut down. So when I switch from J1 to H1, my rent here for H1 is cheaper. It's cheaper because if your credit is good, so they cut the rent down and you don't have
Mhm.
to pay. You pay a deposit based on your credit.
Credit.
So yes, so if your
So be
credit just
careful of the credit cards.
yeah, look here. They stick to one credit card, and that is only with Sicko. But just keep it humble. I mean, you know your why. I love to get back to that.
Yes.
Know your why. I say, well, I want this, that, that. So make me cut it and just humble. Afterwards, no, we soon change. If I get my big vehicle and all that jazz, we just settle. So know when you come, write down rent, deposit, 2 months rent, 2 months deposit, light, internet, everything adds up. Your children have to go to school. Here they don't wear uniform in most schools unless you send them to a charter school. So they're going to need clothes. The good thing is you don't pay if it's not a like a private school, you don't have to pay school fee. Thank God for that. You don't have to go down go buy one for books. Thank God for that. So there are some little pros and cons as we say. But initially you have money if you turn up when you come. You're gonna need a lot of money. Car and all that.
One of the things I would also recommend when you come, which I didn't know when I was on the J1, try to start building your credit as soon as you enter America. So nobody cares about how much cash you have, to be honest. So if you're getting a little old car, try and take it out on credit so you start building your credit. Use your credit cards with care and caution. Because let me tell you something, if that credit bad, you're going to have to pay a fruple for everything.
Talk
All
truth.
right.
What I
All
see
right.
some
So
teachers do,
go ahead.
Dr.
Go ahead.
Brown? Okay, what I see some teachers do to cut costs when they just enter America, they rent their apartment with another teacher, and this probably especially if you're a single person, you couple up with other people, you rent apartment. If you are at the same school with other people who or other Jamaicans, you probably can carpool. I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but you're just coming. If you can do that, that would help you a lot. There was another point, but it's slipping.
That's okay. All
Also,
right.
get
So
your.
if it comes
Go
back,
ahead.
somebody wants to say something?
Yeah, I was saying, also if you could get your driving history from Jamaica, I know that some insurance company here will also consider international driving history. That will probably cut down on your insurance a bit.
Yes. All right. So I know a lot of people interested in this. Let's talk about transitioning from J to H. What are some of the pros and the cons of transitioning, or should I say, what are the steps? I know a lot of people, especially for those who have the 212E rule on their visa, they want to know when is the best time to apply to get that 212E rule off of their the J1 visa. All right. So who would like to start that process? When do you advise people to start, applying for the waiver?
It depends on which program you're on. Because I have some testimonies. I have some testimonies with certain programs. Anyway, big up Participate Learning, the best program in the world. They all Participate Learning also gives you what do you call it? Relocation fee. Relocation money. So if you're coming, they will give you like $2,000 when you come. And they do that for every year.
Do you have to
Participate
pay that
Learning.
back?
Check them out. Yeah, you pay them back, but it's not like a big amount. And every
Okay.
year, say for example, I'm telling you, I had some issues in Jamaica, and one year, and it's because of that money that they gave me, I could solve all those problems. So, Participate Learning.
How much is the relocation money?
At the time, it was $2,000. I think it is. I don't know if it's more now.
So you don't
$2,000.
have to show any money in your account to participate.
When I was doing Participate Learning, I didn't have to show any money in my account at that time. Maybe it has changed. But for sure, they had that relocation money for me when I got here. Yeah, so it depends on the program. For the waiver, depends on the program. It just depends. Participate, they will not trouble you. They're not. But some programs, if they ever get an inkling, they're ready to bully you. They're ready to threaten you. They're ready to send you all other letters. Oh, you remember you cannot apply for waiver. You need to go back home.
And immigration.
And I'm gonna call and they threaten. Yeah. I know several stories. I know this girl. She got kicked off. She was on the J1 and she got kicked off the program because she put in for a waiver. And God was on her side that um, she had someone who decided to sponsor her
God is
on
good.
the J1, to sponsor her a green card while she
Yes.
was on the J1. Yes,
Wow.
she was out of a job for about a year. So the reason why she didn't have to leave the country was because the waiver was already in process, and as a result of that, the person could they had a little like school, so they said that she was working with them, and on the J1 that person could get their green card because
Right.
of the sponsor kicking her off and telling her, sending her threatening letters that she needs to go home. She needs to pack her suitcase with her family and leave. So I'm telling you, some of the sponsors out there, they are cruel. They threaten
That is
you,
true.
and there's nowhere in the law that stipulates that you cannot apply for a waiver. It's a legal document. So do your research. If anyone out there trying to bully you, tell them not to bully you because you know your rights.
Miss Grant, I had a colleague of mine who came from the same school. She met an American man, fell in love, got married, and she was on J1. And trust me, you'd have think that she killed somebody. And I'm like, you don't know when love will find you.
Mm.
Okay, Dr. Britton, in response to the question that you asked about pros and cons
The
in
transition from
transitioning,
J to H.
right? Or the specific question that you asked, when would you recommend?
Yes. Start
Um,
the waiver process.
I know a lot of people may not agree with me, but you can start the process at any time. Anytime. However, yes, anytime,
It's
Miss
true.
Grant.
That is true. That is true,
Um,
Mrs.
Even in
the
your
thing
Grant.
first
is,
year?
like
Anytime.
even in your first year,
Anytime.
Anytime.
Yes.
I applied in my second year. Um, the thing is, your sponsor cannot know that you apply until you have a favorable recommendation. And you know that when you have a favorable recommendation, it takes like, I've heard of exceptionals, but exceptional cases, but after favorable recommendation, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you have your waiver in hand.
Oh.
So if the sponsor wants to give you a letter to leave the country, at that time, probably you have another process going on for you, or you can find something to go on for you. And it won't affect your status here. So it depends on when and if the J1 sponsor knows about your application for waiver. But more than likely, they won't know until it is approved or favorable recommendation. But because of the frequent application for waiver now, yes, Miss Grant, because of the frequent application for waiver now, what they're doing, they're checking ever so often because the state is not at liberty to go and report to the sponsor. They don't do that.
Okay.
And unless the state puts something up there for you to say that it's recommended for you to get that waiver, they won't know. You can do that. You can research on that, Miss Grant, but that's true.
I just believe that they have some eyes, they have some tracking.
No,
That's
it's not. It's not the belief. It's the fact, and
But
that's all it is.
quick question though. When my colleague got married, she was still working at the school. How would the sponsor know that she's transitioning from the J1 to, I guess, a US citizen?
The
Because it
same
was
thing.
weird because I got the phone call to ask where was she.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There are so many ways. Let me tell you something. You see, when people know your business, that's another thing. I saw somebody talk about, well, I heard of so many cases where unfortunately, our same Jamaican colleagues go and report to the sponsors, oh, she's now married, she's applying for a waiver, and all of this. So they know that. I can't tell you that that's how the sponsor knew of your friend.
Yeah, that is.
Right, but apart from someone not telling or telling, If the State Department does not place something there to say that they are granting you a waiver, the sponsor cannot know.
Okay.
I don't know if they
Thank-
ask,
thanks
if
for
they
that
will
clarity.
tell them, but no, they will not know.
Thank you for that clarity, Mrs. Wardwhite. So
Yes,
Jamaicans,
ma'am.
if you wanna find love, don't tell on the fellow Jamaicans. Find love quietly.
But
right.
a lot of teachers are not say, I'm not gonna say brave, but a lot of teachers not gonna take the risk to go ahead and apply for a waiver within 1 year because of the fear.
Yes, true.
Imagine you leave your country, you pack up everything, you come with your family, and then I'm gonna put in for a waiver in my second year or my first year. I might stand the chance of just getting kicked back home.
You remember Know Your
So,
Why?
But Miss Northern White did
so
it.
you have to
Mrs.
know, yeah,
Ward
you have
White
to
did
know,
it.
You
yeah,
But
remember
you have
Dr.
Know
to,
Bitten,
Your
can
yeah,
they
it
Why?
goes
send you
back
back
to,
home on that basis?
you have to,
No?
you have to know your why,
I didn't hear
and
you, Walker.
Right,
and
Dr.
depends
Green.
on the program.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, this the sponsors they want to make money. It's a money making thing for them. So they don't like it when you come and within 2 years, 1 year, you're trying to escape
Mhm.
or to leave. But it depends on
Escape.
you what you want. Yeah, some of us want to escape, so it's just the
I
truth.
escaped.
Right. My advice on the question that we're talking about when you apply for your waiver, I would say do it as soon as you want freedom. Because if that time if you're H1, you're 5 years up and you don't have that waiver, so long bye bye, you're going to Jamaica. So you must know what you want. I did it in my 4th year because I said I'm not afraid of no program. I'm not a slave. I'm a free agent. And I
But
applied for my waiver in my 4th year. Come say me now wait for last minute because me not going back right now. Me I got Jamaica on vacation. Me not ready yet. Right?
but
So I did it
doctor,
in my 4th year. And the program that come Brand Walker and the program that I'm on, I know of them kicking off persons. I have seen teachers call me and said, no, they look at the letter what they're saying. And I said, them bright here, but they can't touch me. I said, they don't know who for frighten. Don't
yeah,
know who for frighten. And then again, I have heard of another case that Nardian was talking about. Wow, our names are so unique. Nordian. Right. I know another teacher. She told me, she said EPI told her, Lord have mercy, me never want to call out the name. Jesus, me not
Christ. You know what? I don't care.
Blast
You're
out
too
that, blast it
bad.
out.
you know, the program, B put that for me now. The program told her that,
That's your life.
that the program told B told the program told her that another Jamaican told them that the teacher is applying for waiver. I say, you see how we wicked? Me tell you something, man. You see how we wicked? Mind your own business and talk less. You understand me? Cut your little corners, do your things, and keep your mouth shut. Cause some and every friend a friend. Remember that.
Right.
And she told them. So I know of persons who they kick off. Literally, tell them go. And even you, Miss Dion Ricketts, your program that you mentioned, right? Them not the same. They are not the same. A teacher told me like 3 weeks ago, they gave another teacher a letter, and now she's transitioning to Savannah. She got her waiver, and they told her she has to go. So remember, I'm telling you, they're not the same. Because everybody look for
And that's
money.
what I wanted
They're
clarity
not the
on.
same. They're
Can
not
a
the same.
program, because I've always been told, and clear this up for me, anybody, if it's a myth, because I really don't have much experience with waivers. I always was of the impression that you don't apply for the waiver too quickly because the programs will let you go. And so I heard that it's almost like it's a balancing act at the time. It's really carefully near towards the end of your thing. And then when you get the waiver, you are free to do whatever you want to do. Because I've heard stories of people applying for the waiver, especially in like, I've never heard of anybody in the first year, to be honest. But I've heard stories like if you apply for your waiver too quickly and the programs know about it, they can tell you adios. And is that even a legal thing, Dr. Britton? Can they just let you go like that?
I wouldn't say it's legal, but they're now going to make it legal. Someone just commented, I'm going to put a comment section. They're starting to put it in their contract to say you cannot apply for it because applying for a waiver
It's been a
is not
while.
illegal. It's not illegal
No
to apply
sign
for
it.
it. But
No
because they
sign
don't
Honestly,
it.
want you to apply for it, they're going to start adding it to the contract saying you're not to
Jesus.
apply for it. Because as Ricky said, remember, this is a money making, venture for
venture.
them.
Mhm.
So if you come on the program for 1 or 2
So you
years
said
and
too
leave,
early. Okay.
I do
You
know
said
that there
too
was another
early. It doesn't matter
program.
when.
It doesn't matter when.
It doesn't matter when. Once they find that you have applied, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's too early or it's too late or it's in the middle. They are going to try and kick you off the program.
I
So as I
do
said, it's
know
when they
that.
find out and
Mhm.
right.
I do know that
Go ahead.
there's a program that asks their hosting school to sign a thing to say that they will not transition the teachers to the H1B. I will not call the program name, but I do know that there's one particular program that pulled teachers to from hosting schools that they suspected would have transitioned the teachers to the H1B because they actually loved how the teachers worked and they wanted to assist them.
That's the truth. I've heard of that too.
So as it said,
Sad.
we're saying that the timing, but for me, the best timing is in your fourth year, when you finish fourth year, going into your fifth year. So at least, they might have some conscience and say, well, at least this teacher is going to finish the 5 years with us. At least this teacher is going to make the bag for us.
Conscience.
So let us not, let her go on, man. Let her go on.
so what
So
what I always say, if you know you want to transition from J to H, I would say, and don't quote me on this, I don't want anybody to come and say, Dr. Brittany said I'm to apply for my waiver, and now my program kicked me off, and Dr. Brittany is to be blamed. But I personally, my experience, I applied for my waiver at the end of my fourth year. So I know it's May, and come August, I was going to go in my final year for J1. I applied before that, before my summer break. And I got my waiver in time to transition to H1B. So some people can apply that summer, that May before that fifth year, and it can take up to 8 months for you to get the waiver in hand. Some people applied similar to me that May and they got theirs to December. Now, if you're on a program that's going to kick you off and you get your waiver in December, dog name is suffer. So, really and truly, that's going to be dependent on your program sponsor. But I usually say, if I'm to tell you when, that's when I'm going to tell you the end of your fourth year, so that Jamaica has enough time to get that waiver to you before your fifth year ends. You don't want fifth year to end and you don't have your waiver in hand. Because then, how are you going to transition? The first thing the lawyer is going to ask for is your waiver, and they will not put the application in without the waiver. So you would choose how you want to go about it.
I have a quick question,
And
Dr. Bitten. Is there ever an instance where, apart from you owing student loan or owing the government money, is there ever an instance where somebody applied for a waiver and they were turned down?
I know somebody who applied for a waiver. She was turned down not because she owed student loan, but because she signed for somebody for student loan. The
yeah,
Okay.
the person she signed for was not paying the loan, and so she was held accountable. So she had to pay the loan in order to get her waiver.
Oh, wow.
yes, yes, yes. If you signed any student loan back in Jamaica
take out
for
her name.
anyone, if it's even your child, and you decide that you're not going back home yet, and you need that waiver, call your child, call somebody else in Jamaica, and please ask them to remove you as the guarantor. Find someone else to stand in the gap so that you can get that no objection letter from Jamaica. If you
Okay.
sign it, they are not giving you the clearance. And good news, now student loan back in Jamaica, they don't need guarantors anymore.
Really?
They don't
Nice.
need guarantors anymore. Yes, so that is good. So the upcoming people, you don't have to worry. Because the students, they can go to school without any but 3, 4, 6, 5, 10 people signing. That's good. But for
Okay, that's
if
Okay.
you're
good.
here now and you
Okay.
sign, get it sorted out before you put in that waiver.
Okay.
Mhm.
2 points since you're on money owed in Jamaica. Apart from student loan, if you were given a scholarship, a government scholarship, they will bond you for I think 3 years. It could be more or less. If you don't serve that bond, you will have to pay back that sponsorship if they don't overlook you. If they don't overlook that sponsorship that you got. Another instance, if you have gotten study leave and where upon completing your study leave, you did not go back to work and complete your bond, you will have to pay that money that was paid to you while you were on study leave. So those are some of the monies owed in Jamaica that will prevent you from getting a no objection letter. Um,
Also,
yes.
so you're done?
No, you can go ahead. It's another point. You can.
Also, you remember that part where, hmm, let me speak for myself. We send in the resignation letter. When we reach the US, we say $350,000 from the ministry in our NCB account and our Scotia account, and we use it. Make sure you pay back that 350,000 because guess what? With the ministry, they don't keep, they don't keep track. So you resign, but however, when you check, your bank account is still looking fat like you're still in Jamaica.
Um,
If that has ever happened to you and you use that money, make sure you pay it back to the Ministry of Education before you apply for that waiver because you're not getting it until you clear that money that they give to you. They
I'm
give
not.
it to you now because you resign. And
I'm
they give it to you because of their what now? Incompetence.
So
Oh
what would that
no, I
money
don't.
be? Salary
Yeah.
or
Salary,
back
yes.
money? Oh, salary.
No, you're
Okay.
like yeah, your salary. So say for
Okay.
example you left in July, you may get August pay, September pay, because they don't do the due diligence.
Okay.
Mm.
So make sure you pay that money back after you use it. Because most of us use it.
um, this point is on what we were talking about previously about transitioning from J to H and when you're to apply for waiver. Again, I'm going back to the know your why. There's so many factors that can come into play with you applying for your waiver. Let's say you have a child who is 17 years old and you're on your third year or your second year going to your third year. You know that you want to transition to the H1B. And let's take Savannah, for example, who does the green card process, start the green card processing as soon as you start working. Let's say you're transitioning to Savannah. You have a 17 years old child. You're not going to want to wait until you're at your fifth year before you transition to the H1B because then when your child reaches 21, it's either you send that child home or you'd have to find some lots of money for that child to go to college on the F1 visa. So as I said, know your why and the factor because I would transition after my third year so that at least my child can be added to that process before he or she reaches 21 years old.
All right. So guys, we're gonna take a quick break, but this is what I want from you before we go for that quick break. If you've not liked this video as yet, I'm sure you're getting some invaluable information. Go and like this video, share it as well with somebody who might be interested to learn more about J and H1B visa. As well, I did share in the link. There's a link that I shared. It's on the screen now. It's in the comment section. That's the link you're gonna join to come and share your experience with the panel tonight. You can come on just on screen like we are, or you can turn your cameras off if you're shy. So if you'd like to share, I will see you. I see somebody's here already. I see Bernadette is here, so she's going to be the first one. But for those who'd like to share, go ahead and click that link to join to share. We're going to take a 30-second break. and then we'll be right back to go into that segment. All right. All right, so we're gonna go straight to Bernadette. Welcome, Bernadette.
Good night, everyone.
Good
I
night.
know that voice.
Hey, Dr. Thomas. Thank
Bernadette
you, guys.
Burton.
Yes, ma'am. I think Dr. Thomas and Noda Grant Walker, we worked together at Calabar back
Yes,
in
Yes,
we
we did,
Jamaica.
did.
girl. Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
I came upon the program in August 2018 via Participate. I my experience with them very good. Like I cannot say anything bad about them. I've been listening, and I there's nothing bad I can say about them. I've heard of other people who have said stuff, but I can't say anything bad about them. The relocation fee, I got it. I took it every year, even when I didn't need it. I took it. It's interest free. You pay it back each month, and you don't even see it. It just comes out your pay. You don't see it. So even when I didn't need it, I took it in case I needed it. Better to have it and not want it than not have it and then want it. So I
Right.
came up 2018. Um, my first year on the program was like the school I got. The kids were, oh, I thought I was gonna go back home because it started out so rocky with the third grade that I got. I was on vacation leave when I came. They gave me 4 months vacation leave, and I was like, I'll come up, see if I like it. If I don't like it, then I can always go back home to my job. But what I did was when I went back home that December, I did go back home, but I didn't go back to, stay. I went back and resigned and then came back. So I didn't have any extra pay from the ministry, nothing like that, because I went back and I did my resignation. Came back. My second year was way better. I got a better class, and so eventually I started getting into the whole thing, and the transition was really good, smooth, everything. When it came to the waiver, people scare you. I mean, you hear so many things, but like I tell my other friends who came up after me, your experience is your experience. I
Right.
mean, yes, you can get advice from other people, but at the same time, what can go right for you might not go right for somebody else. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I think each individual has their experience and just have to just go with it. So just like Dr. Britton and I think Dr. Thomas said, I applied for my waiver at the end of my fourth year. That means I was about to go into my fifth year. I had a friend who she's the panicky type. Both of us came the same time on the same program in the same community, not at the same school. But she's the one who will listen to others and be like, but we need to do this or we need to. And she wanted to apply for her waiver, like I think earlier in the year. And I was like, I'm not ready. You can go ahead, but I'm not ready. I wanted to make sure that I had my contract for the next year in my hand from my school district. And I also just wanted to play it safe. So she applied before me. I think she applied probably April, May. I didn't apply till the July. So it wasn't
Right.
really too far away from each other, but she applied before me and I got my waiver before her. So,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like, you don't want people to rush you, or you have to go with your gut and what you
Right.
feel. So when I
Yes.
applied in July, I did everything. I mean, it was a process. You have to go on the site. I wrote down all the steps that I needed to do, and I just went through it one by one, to apply. And I did the application, and I got it, I think December 31st. That was like New Year's Eve. It was in the mail, and I was like, ooh, but that year, that January, when you know you're in your last year, yes, you have the waiver, but you don't know if you're going to get a school. That
Yeah.
year for me it wasn't stressful, but it was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. You just have to have faith, like, okay, I'm going to get a school. I'm going to, you just have to have faith. And that's what I did. I applied and what's that thing? Interviewed for one school. Listen to me and listen to me good. One school. I applied to many schools, did one interview. And that one interview I did, that's the school I'm at right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And then a lot of people said, "Oh, you gotta have a set amount of money for your H1 transition. They're gonna charge you this. They're gonna charge you." I have my daughter. She came when she was like 5 plus. She's now 11, and they're like, "You're gonna have to pay for her. You're gonna have to pay for yourself." And I was like, "Okay, I gotta make sure I have all this money for that year. Just in case I have to the transition. I'm gonna have to move to somewhere else or whatever." So I had all that money, you know, holding on to. But then that school that I applied to, they took care of everything. I,
Good.
they
Okay.
took care of everything. They took care of my
Yeah.
daughter. They took care of me, and up to
Mm.
now, you know what I mean. The only thing that I think went wrong for me was the licensure. The licensure was gonna expire June 2023. When they did my application, I think they did it to June. So the USCIS only gave me 1 year on the H1B, which that's another thing too. You don't know how long they're going to give you. Some people get 3, some people get 1. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because there's people at my school. There's a lot of Jamaicans at the school I'm at right now, and a few of them have 3, and a few of us have 1. But the good thing
Mm-hmm.
again is that the school again, they know, okay, you're gonna have to reapply. So they set the lawyers on us
Mm-hmm.
again. So right now we're dealing
Yeah.
with lawyers again, hoping that this time we'll get 3 years. But that's my story. I'm now in the process of doing H1B again. Had to reapply. I think I did all the paperwork already, and just y'all just pray for me that I'll get the years that I need on it. I've decided not to travel to Jamaica on the 1 year because I don't want to risk it. So we haven't seen Jamaica in a while, but
Yeah.
I'll wait. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've told everybody I'm just trying to be patient. I'm not trying to rush anything. Yes, I miss home, but I'm just trying to be patient and just have faith and just hope everything works out for the best. But this is a
All
great
right.
program, guys. Thanks for having me on here to share
Yes.
my experience.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing.
Bye,
It
Miss
will work
Bernie.
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
We don't
Hey,
participate. We
Bernadette, you
don't
said.
participate.
Yes, yes,
Thanks for sharing, Bernadette.
definitely,
We
definitely.
appreciate you, and
You don't have to
definitely you
worry.
will. You are in need of more years on
Yes,
it. You will.
yes. I
Just
appreciate
set.
that. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
All
Bernadette, just
right.
set like bull in a glass case, baby. All right.
All right, all right.
All right. I see a J, but J, it's saying J's thing is not connected. So if you would like to come to share, the link is there in the comment section. It's pinned on the screen. If not, we're going to go straight to the question and answer section, and we're going to try to get off by 9. We were supposed to be finished by 8:15, and it's now 8:47. So anybody else would like to share? If not, you can go ahead and put your question in the comment section below so we can answer those and wrap this up this evening. Again, thank you guys for coming to share on the platform with the viewers about your experience with J and H1B visa. It has been very informative. I'm sure the viewers have learned a lot. And I know from what they've learned today, they will know what their next steps are. All right, go ahead. Nobody wants to come and share. No questions. They can if they are not. Okay. Oh boy, sounds like a lot of deal. All right, I'm gonna just give them a few minutes more, and if not, we can end. All right, so just to wrap up, I know I
Dr.
skipped
Britton,
some of the things on there. Go ahead, Miss
are you hearing
Grant
me?
Walker. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody just sent me a message to say, if you signed guarantor for somebody over 15 years ago and they didn't serve their bond, would you be responsible for that?
With student loan,
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
once
Let's
the post, it doesn't matter how long it is, as long as the people they didn't pay it, you are
Mm-hmm.
responsible for it. If you're trying to get a waiver, they're gonna bring it up.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay.
Jovan, what's his question? I'm not seeing it. If you find employment
I
on
think he's saying
your
there's
own,
a
can you
question in the
find?
chat, but I
Yes,
don't think the
definitely.
question is complete. Um,
So I
from
did answer
Benjamin.
Grant Walker that it doesn't matter how long it was. Once the money wasn't paid, it's gonna come up. Mentors asking if you find employment on your own, can you find a sponsor? Yes, there are definitely J1 sponsors out there that if you find your job on your own, they can
Mhm.
sponsor you the J1 visa. Several of them.
Yeah.
All right. All the steps involved in transitioning. Okay. All right. I know we skipped out some of the things on the agenda, guys, and that's okay because we already went over time. But just the last thing I want us to talk about, and then we're gonna close off. Which visa do you recommend? Which visa do you recommend? And you can take turns with whoever want to go first. Which one do you recommend?
I think it depends on the individual. For me, I appreciated the J1 the most because it prepared me for the chaos of the H1B, and it also allowed me to save a lot of money. Um, and the experience that I got on the J1 also helped me to appreciate the J1 more because I was babied on the J1, to be honest. H1B, you're on your own. You have to figure out everything. You have to navigate this crazy world on your own. There's nobody there to help you. And
Mm-hmm.
the employers will tell you this is not the J1 program, it's H1B. So I
Mm-hmm.
prefer the
Mm-hmm.
J1 in my opinion. But I
And
also
I
love the
must
fact that I will get a green card too.
And I must add that Mrs. Grant Walker, she first came on the J1 visa. She went back home. You didn't do no waiver, right? You
No.
spent your 2 years. She did her
Hmm.
2 years home, and then she came back on the H1. So she has the experience of coming straight on a H1, and she has experience coming to the US straight on J1 visa. She didn't transition, so she's giving it from specific experience. Okay. All right. Just to
Yeah.
make that clear. Anyone else? Which one would you recommend, Mrs. Northern Whites?
Well, it depends on your situation. Um, if you know that you don't have the funds to come straight on the H1B, and you have a family, especially, I would recommend the J1 for you to come, and you can save some money there to transition to H1B. However, if you're a single person and you, whichever program you come on, you will have to have you will have to have some money. So if you're a single person, I recommend that you come on the H1B. But for family,
Uh,
you don't have a large chunk in your account in Jamaica, I would recommend that you come on the J1.
Okay. Mrs. Grant.
I know our answer already.
Well, I'm humbled. The J1 visa, it has done so much for me. I'm humbled. And it really it depends on your situation, but I'm humble with the J1 because it set me up for success on the
Mm-hmm.
H1B. I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I on the J1, I didn't end up with a miserable husband. I didn't lose my relationship because my husband could work for 5 years. And we could save that money to transition on the H1B. So as I said, if you're single and you want to come on an H1 because you want that green thing, fine. But if you have your family and you don't want to leave your man back in Jamaica or wherever in the world, or your wife, wherever out there, just out there, and you want to come with your kids and you want persons to work and, life happy and good and nice, the
Mm-hmm.
J1 is the best one for me.
All right. And Dr. Thomas.
Wow. You put us in a hard spot with this question, I feel like I want to be a boaty. When you're boaty in Jamaica, you go there so you go there so. But
Nothing wrong.
yeah. But when I think
Mm-hmm.
real about everything, I said, you know what? Life is a process. And we have to, let God lead. I think it was God's will for me to come through the J1. As my other, panelists said, especially with the family, I value my family. When I came on this
Yes.
day one, I left them at home in Jamaica for 2 weeks and I cried many nights. So for me,
Yes.
my family is critical. For the J1,
Yes.
I get a chance to get my doctorate. If I came straight on the H1, we wouldn't have the money, you know. So when I think about it, I have to be a little boaty. It depends on your situation. As I always like
Yes.
to say, think about your why. Why did I come? But if I had
Yes.
all what I had now, then I would come straight to the H. But I didn't have that. Because me a broke and did need some little money, so little start out. So now I'm in a better spot. So I can always switch to the H. But I needed the J. I needed the J. It was God's will. But as
Yes.
you say, people who depend. If you some teachers are back, if you have the money, everything line up, come straight on the H and just get your green card. But for me, I have
Mm-hmm.
to do the J. So, but
Yeah.
where I am now, I could always switch to the H. If I were in Jamaica with all that I have, I would come straight to the H and start with the green card business.
Yeah.
So that's
And
my end.
Um.
one other point, and it's not that on the with the age visa you cannot bring your family. You can, they come on our H4, but it's
Yes.
just that the opportunity that the J2 would give for your dependents, the H4 will not give it. So yes,
Specifically for
you
the
can bring
work
your
permit.
family. Yes, and and the cases that I know of, the men they don't want to leave. They're working back home to come and just sit for 3 4 years without being able to work.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good. Good.
It was
So
mentioned
for me,
early.
go ahead.
It was mentioned earlier though that you're able to study on the J1. You are able to do that as well on the H1B.
On
Your
H.
Right.
spouse
Both
Yes.
of
and
it.
your spouse and your children, both
Yes.
visas. A question was in the chat, Dr. Britton, about yeah, Social Security. Benjamin asked a question. The child is 6 years old. Can they apply for the Social Security? The answer is yes.
Yes. Yes.
They
Right.
definitely
For
Indeed.
those who are joining the platform for the first time, there's a lot of information on this channel. Definitely to answer that specific question that Miss Ward White just mentioned, there's a video that speaks directly on how to get a social security number for your child. And the video goes step by step to show you how to get that. So if you're joining this platform for the first time, you definitely need to subscribe and also turn those notification bells on. But I want to give my take also on which is better. And I don't care who agrees with this is my opinion. This is my opinion. I came on the J1 visa and I will always be appreciative for the J1 visa. I know a lot of people, they are interested to come only for one reason and one reason only, and that's to get a green card. So they don't care to come and, you know, share their culture with, the children here, and be a part of a program. I know my program was like a family. So we had our yearly Christmas dinners, and they catered to us. They kept us informed with things that was happening and things like that. You felt like you were here with family, even though they're not your family. I am not saying all program sponsors are like this. So I would always recommend the J1 visa. Not saying I'm going to say if your situation does not fit, or, it is not going to be conducive to your situation, that you go on the J1. But I'm not going to turn my back on the J1 visa. I have seen where it has done a lot for myself and for others, and it's very good to transition from J to H, because then you are prepared. You're
Mm-hmm.
prepared. You are prepared for what is to come.
Good.
So, no
There's
being
a
the boat.
question in the chat.
Dr. Britton, let's
There's a
pick up
question in the chat.
pace. I heard about global and participate, but they didn't talk about the best J1 sponsor, which is Faces. So let's
Right,
pick up Faces.
right.
All right.
Faces. Yes, yes.
Participate.
I know that would be
Also,
a
guys,
good.
I know
please
someone whose
before
visa
put
sponsor
it.
doesn't allow her to further her studies here in the
Yes,
US. Can
a
you share?
question in the chat.
I see people asking if you can study on J1 and H1B, and I'm not sure if that is even possible for somebody to tell you that you cannot study.
Cannot study.
I am not sure if that is even legal. I'm not sure really, Teddy.
I think you can
But
study on both.
Yeah, you can.
I studied on my J.
I am studying.
Definitely. Definitely.
There was another.
I studied.
Okay, there was another
Is
question, Dr. Britton.
Ricky Grant studied? I don't know. Well, maybe the thing is this. What a lot of teachers do is everything, as somebody was saying earlier on the panel, everything we think we need to ask the sponsor. This is your personal life, and if you're going to study, that is something personal. I don't think a program sponsor should care if you want to further your studies in the US. That's my
Just like
opinion.
they can't
I'm
tell you
not
that they
saying it's
can't
true.
get pregnant. That's
And
your
married.
reproductive right.
Or
Right,
married. Or
And they
married.
can't tell you
Yeah.
they can't
right,
get married. That
Miss
right.
Wilson,
done.
Miss Wilson asked a question. She asked about her 23 years old dependent, if they can be sponsored on any of the visas. The answer is
No,
no. The
That's
limit
like
no.
is 21. Yes, the
Yes,
limit
the
is
age
21.
limit is 21.
Yeah.
Yes. But
There's another
other
question. If your
go ahead.
if your spouse studies while on H4, will they pay international school fee?
Yes.
Yes. Also J2.
Is it international or out of state?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
It's
What do
still
they
it's
mean?
still considered international.
It would be in state. Once you're on a H1, because my daughter is in university right now. She has one more year. So when she started, it was because we were not on the H1, we had to do out of state. And then once you're on a H1, you do in state. So that's where you pay the lower amount.
But is that state dependent or is that straight across the US?
I think it's state dependent.
It might be state
It
dependent.
might be state. Because this place, state by state,
Mhm.
have a different
Every
law.
state has their own business.
Right. But
In order for my
Not
daughter to get that in state, I had to sign a form to say that I'm a teacher within the state, and that's how she would have gotten the in state.
Okay.
Tuition. Yeah.
Mhm. Other than that, they're going to charge you the more money for the studies. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, I think we have come to the
Yes.
end, guys. I don't think there's any other questions there. I think you guys did an amazing job sharing your experiences this evening with viewers. Guys, again, if you did not like the video as it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and you can just go ahead and start giving your shout outs in the comment section, and I will put them on screen for the panelists to see them. Go ahead and put those in the comment section. That's all you gotta do. Share a kind word with the panelists tonight. All right.
No, Gloria. There's a question from Gloria. If there's an age cutoff for teacher who can apply, and I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
You know, Miss Nelson, I was hoping that you were going to join this evening to share. Miss Nelson, I remember you from IG, you know. I was hoping you were going to join to share because I know you were one of the pollsters.
Blessings, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you for
And
honoring me,
another
Dr.
question.
Britton.
What are the advantages, what are the disadvantages and advantages of getting pregnant on a J1 visa? Why you guys just wanting to come get pregnant on the people in J1 visa?
Dr. Britton, I'm happy that somebody asked that question. May I address that question, please?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Ladies, be very careful. If you do get pregnant on your H or J, please do not become a public charge. Which means, let's say you're ready to transition into your your green card. They're going to look at all the public benefits that you have taken. You don't want to become a leech on their system. So if you get pregnant, pay a bill, set up a payment plan, because it will come back to haunt you. And I'm saying that based on experience. If it's even $10, pay the bill. Don't take no Medicaid. Run from the Medicaid. Don't take no food stamp. Stay away from it.
Then you take WIC?
Yes, you can take WIC, because WIC is for the child.
Yes, for the milk and stuff like that. And also consider daycare. So just top up the bank account.
Yes.
And just fall in love.
If it's even $10,
bring a family member up, or they can bring a family member up to help babysit. You know, but don't let them exceed their time, because daycare here is a lot. It's like,
and remember, if they're helping to babysit, it cannot be that you're paying them to babysit, because that means they're working on their B1 visa, and that is illegal. So guys,
you give a little change.
No one is not illegal.
That's right. So bring them to help.
Yes.
Anywhere the Lord leads, guys. Anywhere the Lord leads. If He's gonna bless you with a child, He'll take care of it.
That's right.
But just don't take the Medicaid. Stay far from Medicaid, please.
Can you guys respond to this question, please?
Where in the process this person is at? Did this person get a no objection letter already? When did that person get the no objection letter? It depends on where in the process at this point.
Right, because if the person has a B1 visa, they can the lawyer knows what to do. They don't have to go back to Jamaica. They can switch over on that B1. I think it costs like $800.
Yeah.
Depends on the lawyer. They don't have to go back. So it depends on where you are, but you don't have to go back. Because I know at least 2 teachers who did not go. They waited, or they paid the bills. You don't ask me, but they stayed for a couple months. Well, don't ask me, but you don't have to go back.
Okay, so it's gonna be dependent on a number of different factors. That's what you ladies are saying, right?
Right, Dr. Britton. Remember, they can have a one-on-one with you. A lot of questions. Yep. Just put your little put your thing in the chat for me, Dr. Britton, where they can go and have that one-on-one with you. That's very critical. Knowledge is power. And the Bible said, I repeat, the people perish because of a lack of knowledge.
True.
Perish, lack of knowledge.
And there was those of you who are waiting on the green card, don't take any public assistance, even if you want it. Stay away from the food stamp.
There was a question earlier. Someone asked if if the waiver is granted, if you can still work on your J1 visa. The answer is yes. Once the program sponsor does not tell you to go, you can work until the end of your J1 visa.
All right, so that's it, guys. We've come to the end. Again, thank you guys for coming to share. And for the viewers, I appreciate you guys for staying on for this long. We're on for over 2 hours and
Wow.
you stayed till the end. So I appreciate it. Do share this link with others so they can re-watch it. It's definitely recorded. It will be on YouTube channel Kicking with Dr. Britton. Also, if you've not subscribed to the channel as yet, go ahead and subscribe, turn your notification bells on, and be on the lookout for more informative sessions. Next Sunday, we have Mr. Mentor who was in the chat. He came and he shared earlier his well, he just started. This is his first year, but he's coming to share what his first year was like on J1 visa. He's from Guyana. So definitely be on the lookout for him next week. He will be coming to share. All right. Again, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time. Ladies, does anyone have any final words to say?
Good luck to everyone on your job search. Remember, Dr. Brittany can hook you up. She assisted me in getting my job. Listen, contact her. If you want one good job, contact Dr. Britton. She's not sending another fool, please.
Yes,
All
big up
right.
Dr. Britton, big up Dr. Britton, big up Dr.
Everyone,
Britton.
Brittany, I've told you before because I was on here already. You are a beacon. You're a notch above the rest. A lot of times as Jamaicans, we like to hold up information and we don't share it. Let me tell you something. You are a beacon, notch above the rest. Big up yourself, Dr. Britton.
Yeah.
And I'm
Dr.
yet to
Thomas,
do one and
I
one.
never even know that my school district exists until I went on Dr. Britton's channel.
That's right. That's right.
All
Nardia,
right.
you stay on after the thing because I need your number to give me some money. Right here.
Dr. Britton will give you a
Without the waiver, is it hard to get an H1B sponsorship? I think we did say that you need the waiver for the lawyer to even start the application process. He's going to ask for the waiver to send to USCIS. Some lawyers will not send it at all without the waiver. Some will, but even if they send the application, or should I say the paperwork in, you're going to get a RFE and they're going to ask for the waiver. So it is very important to have.
They can use the favorable recommendation letter as well. So
Yes,
they don't have to
from-
wait on the finished product from
Right.
State Department. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. And we will see you next time, guys. Let's wave.
Bye.
Bye.
Can you please send my number to Dr. Thomas, please?
All right. I will.
Bye, ladies. It was very informative. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.